Coach Jack in the building, bringing voice to the game, breaking down the plays, not just stats, wisdom in the name. Kenwood pride on the mic and hot takes, everything gets real. From locker room talk to the coach on the block, those Migos network, yeah, we never gonna stop. Unfiltered.
So without further ado, let's do this, guys. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On in Sports, featuring yours truly, Coach Jack. A lot to get into. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for all the likes, shares, views, comments, and unfiltered feedback. It's all welcome, and I definitely appreciate you guys taking the time to do that for Coach Jack. Secondly, I definitely want to give a special thank you to the Kenwood Bluebirds. A lot of those young people there are definitely opening their eyes and ears to what I'm saying. So I just wanted to shout those guys out, Jaime and Nate and Mikhail, for letting me know that they watch the show, just bringing up points that I've been bringing up. So I thank you guys for taking the time to sit and view. Y'all know young people got short attention spans and they don't sit still for a goddamn thing. So I appreciate you guys. We're gonna get right into this thing, man. First of all, excuse me, that was my fault, guys. Technical difficulties here, but we're gonna keep pushing through. This week, did we actually watch any football? We're gonna talk about this recap because it's some things that I got to set the record straight on. Fox did say some things to me the last couple of weeks, and we're definitely going to bring them in. First, the last of the unbeatens. The Buffalo Bills have now lost a game, and the Philadelphia Eagles have now lost 2 in a row. Definitely crazy. So let's go ahead and attack this Buffalo game here. Josh Allen, 22 of 31, 253, 2 tutties, 1 interception. He had 9 carries for 53 yards. James Cook, 15 carries, 49 yards. Dalton Kincaid, 6 receptions for 108. Curtis Samuel, 2 receptions for 26 yards and 1 tutty. Keon Coleman, 4 receptions, 23 yards, 1 tutty. Allen and Coleman both fumbled and lost fumbles. Now, you can't do that against division rivals. The Patriots definitely stuck it to him, and I think Mike Vrabel relished in he kind of basked in that victory because, he used to play for the Patriots, and that was one of their rivals there. And New England used to have their way with him. So I guess he said, same old Patriots, same old thing, but they lost their first one. Now, in regards to that, I will say this. They proved that they're human and they can bleed. My Ravens couldn't, finish the job in the last, 3 weeks. They've been playing pretty solid football. But to see the Patriots, who nobody, by the way, expects anything from them, get that win in the fashion in which they did, playing hard-nosed defense. And what do you expect when you have a leader like the head coach? Forgive me, y'all. When you have a leader like the coach that they have, like, it's just one of those things where you just expect them to be tough. You expect them to go far and wide to hunt the quarterback down, hunt the running back down, create turnovers. That is one of those things where I must say Mike Vrabel definitely had his hand on the pulse and brought that dub home. Fox, did you check that out, and what are your thoughts on it?
Another team you forgot was the Chargers. They lost 2 in a row after being undefeated too. I don't know what's going on with these.
No, I brought those 2 out specific because they was the last 2 unbeaten.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. But I don't know what's going on right now. Maybe these teams are happy with the first couple wins of the season, and they just what you just called it earlier, what was off air, called it Super Bowl hangover. I think it's called winning every week hangover. You underestimating teams. You're not playing up to your full magnitude because, when I look at this, there was no touchdowns thrown by Drake May. Of course, everything was on the ground, but Buffalo, you held the offense under 100 yards rushing. You did your thing up there. I think it was more of Stephon Diggs coming out there to prove something. I haven't seen a game like this in a while. He did have 100 yards 2 games back to back, but this was top wide receiver type numbers. 100 catches for $146. Only thing was missing that he didn't get the end zone, but I know he'll take the win any day of the week. But I feel like Buffalo, they didn't take it serious on this one. They fell asleep. They felt like we talked about this before, off air. I hate when teams play down to the competition because this was clearly a team that's rebuilding the Patriots, where you are a team that's had the MVP, could be another MVP if he keeps playing the way how he is, and you could be Super Bowl bound, which we're waiting for the Bills to get at least to a Super Bowl. So I think the Bills definitely underestimated the Patriots right here. I'm convinced on this Patriots defense. I needed to see something. I'm convinced they got a nice corner up there, number 0. I'm sorry I can't get your name right now. Right now, what's his name? Number 0, the corner.
I'm not sure. I don't follow the Patriots.
Oh, all right. I promise the next time we do this show, I have his name. We'll get it later on. We doing the show because he's definitely an all-pro corner doing his thing. But I gotta give a shout out to the Patriots defense stepping up, handling business the way they did, and shout out to Stephon Diggs putting up them good numbers.
I didn't read Drake's Mays stat line, but you just brought him up. But he was 22 of 30 for 273. Like you say, he didn't throw any touchdowns, but he definitely managed the game well. When you're able to, spread the ball around to however many different receivers and as Fox would always say, get everybody involved. That's always good because it's a total team win. You know what I mean? That's what you need, especially against a team like the Bills. You know what I mean? Now, as far as looking past the opponent, whatever the reason that they lost, I mean, I always say like you lost because you got outplayed by a team that you may have looked past. I'm not saying they did or didn't, but I'm just saying their style of play, it looked to be that. Like going into the beginning of the game, you just thought that like, all right, yeah, this should be pretty easy because nobody expects anything from the Patriots. So
his name is Christian Collins. Check him out. He nice. He nice, y'all.
And then Ramondre Stevens had 7 carries, 14 yards for 2 tutties in that game. So again, total team win because you were able to pace it. And again, that's Mike Vrabel at work. We understand that running the ball and throwing the ball, a good balance of running pass.
Yeah.
Any game where you're keeping the defense honest and on their toes, as we did see the Bills defense, they went through some struggles in that game trying to contain all of those guys. Like you mentioned, Stephon Diggs. And the crazy part is Stephon Diggs' stat line wasn't even crazy. It was just the fact that the Stephon Diggs, you had to account for him being on the field. So again, I mean, like when you have a team get a total team victory like that against a premier team or the Super Bowl favorite and all that kind of stuff, like that's always a good one. And secondly, Philly falls to Denver. Listen, this is a good one. Bo Nick's stat line, 24 for 39, 242, 1 tutty. J.K. Dobbins, he had 20 carries, 79 yards and a tutty. Evan Engram, 4 receptions, 33 yards and 1 tutty. Again, another total. This is total offense right here because, again, you still have to contain Saquon, which Saquon did not do well at all. In fact, in that game, Saquon had 6 carries for 30 yards. The Denver defense was able to hold him to that. You know what I mean? Like, and let's be honest, like the Philly offense is pretty explosive. Pretty explosive. And like, if you're able to do that, certain things where you neutralize offenses for what they're known for, that's a good day at the office for you, for your defense. So shouts out to Denver for that. Now, on the other part of it, I didn't finish the stat lines in that game. Jalen Hurts was 23 for 38, 280 and 2 tutties. That's just Jalen being Jalen. And I think, all right, to be totally fair, because I don't want to totally just like down every part of what Philly does. Like, no, I'm not a Philly fan. However, let me just say this. Philly is one of those teams where Jalen Hurts gets a lot of bad rap, a lot of bad press because people are, pro Mahomes or pro Allen or pro whomever you are, and he kind of gets swept under the rug. I can say this publicly and with humility as a football fan in total that Jalen Hurts needs more respect on his name because he is consistent. Like, he is consistent. So, again, with a stat line like that and you still come up short. Now, as I mentioned, and we'll get to in a second, Philly just lost 2 in a row because on Thursday night, they lost to the Giants. And again, Jalen was Jalen because in that game, he was 24, 33, 283, 1 tutty, but he also threw an interception. So again, your numbers are consistent. Like, you're putting the ball around. A lot of that comes on either receivers not getting open or maybe just flat out dropping the ball. Whatever it is, the defense are catching up to what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing offensively. I had a good opportunity to talk to my cousin Matt. Shouts out to Matt, diehard Philly fan. And I kid you not, it was the first quarter. And his first words, I called this to troll a little bit, mess with him. His first words out of his mouth was, man, we're going to lose this game. You know what I mean? And that's a Philly fan. So my point in being is like, you know your team, but you know football. Like, not from just a fan perspective. If you know ball, like, I mean, like right now we realize that Philly is definitely on the skid right now. They're not playing their best ball. And they got caught by 2, I'm going to say subpar teams. I'm not going to totally mud them like that. We know the Giants are not, nobody's picking them to go to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? We know nobody's picking Denver to go to the Super Bowl. And the defending Super Bowl champs got beat by 2 of those teams. So my point in that is simply, sometimes, that happens. Super Bowl hangover, whatever you want to title it, it shouldn't be happening. You should keep your foot on the gas. Clearly, that's not what's happening in Philly.
Well, for me, this what I had to say. I agree with everything you said. The only thing I would differ on is the Broncos. The Broncos legit. The Broncos are serious. From what I see, of course, they're not on nobody's radar to be a Super Bowl pick, but it wouldn't be surprising that a team like that could get there. I say
To
this.
be a dark horse, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That I would say Super Bowl favorite.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely not a Super Bowl favorite, but I'm saying the way they're playing and the wins that they're getting and the time that they're getting there with, and they definitely playing like that because I said it before, and I definitely got you agree. The one thing I love about football the most is that you can literally go to the Super Bowl and make the playoffs by having a good defense, a great defense. It's been shown. The Ravens, the Giants, it's been shown that you can. I ain't saying you should have a bum or mediocre quarterback, but those teams I mentioned, those teams went to Super Bowls because of their defense, won because of their defense. And I'm watching the Broncos do that right now. Broncos still have not even given up. Hold on. If I saw you reading the Jalen Hurts stats, I want to make sure I'm correct when I say this. But the Broncos haven't given up a receiving touchdown to a wide receiver yet this whole season, unless he did that game right then and there. But I don't think he did. I think Saquon Barkley or somebody else scored. But I would just say this Eagles offensive line, you need to change what you're doing because there's 2 games in a row where you got dominated by the defensive line of the opposing team. I mean, you do have to play who's in front of you. So I gotta give credit to my Giants and give credit to my Giants and give credit to the Broncos because both of those got the top pass rush teams in the league. Broncos lead the league in sacks by far, and in second place is my Giants. Nick, I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Nick Botin, number 15, or Nick Bo. He played for the Broncos. He lead the league in. He got 7 sacks. Brian Burns got 7 sacks. I just feel like the Eagles are doing a little hangover thing, and it's no secret because I'm definitely going to address the elephant in the room. There's no secret that Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are not happy what's going on. He missed both of them last night on throws. One of them I'm blaming on A.J. Brown. I believe A.J. Brown gave up on a route, but he gave up on a route because he thought he wasn't going to get the ball. But nevertheless, speaking from coaches and players, you keep running until the play is over. And then he missed Devontae Smith. So I give you that he's definitely consistent. He definitely showed you can play. He definitely did that plan for one of my second favorite teams, Alabama. He definitely showed he can do what he do. But we really need, just like how you get on my Giants, which you should, about they need to open the playbook. Jalen Hurts and these guys, they need to open up the playbook. They're locking in on Saquon Barkley. They know that the wide receivers is miserable and not getting the ball. So now, with everything that you done had happen to you after all these losses in games you could have won, because everybody was saying Philly was the best team in the league. Probably not here, but on sports shows. I think you need to open up the playbook again, revive that pass defense because y'all looked as suspect as a mug. Y'all really wasn't sacking my quarterback like that. He was doing what he wanted to as a rookie. And I think, he's the first Giants quarterback to beat a Super Bowl champion in a regular season since 1998. That's before we even had Eli Manning. He's also the, what else? Overall, the Giants is playing good, and the Eagles need to step it up. That's all I had to say.
So I'll give you some credit in terms of your Giants because this is actually in my footnotes because I didn't want it to be not stated that the Giants did do a great job on Thursday night in that Eagles victory. Jackson Dart was 17 to 25 for 195 and 1 tutty. And so here's my thing. Because he had 13 carries, 58 yards, and he ran for a touchdown also. And to the point what you just made about when I said the Giants had to open up the playbook, to give the audience context to that conversation when I was saying that everybody was basically trying to like run Russ out of town. And I'm saying is that's the veteran. You let him stay the course to groom Jackson Dart because he's going to play behind the same offensive line that Russ is doing. So he would give you the same. And again, it shows in his performance. 17 to 25, you're not throwing the ball. That's really extremely pedestrian. 195 yards, like guys like Mahomes and Allen and Jackson and Barrow, they get that in their sleep. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's not me tearing down Jackson Dart. That's not what I'm saying. My thing is if he is your thrower of the football for the foreseeable future, you start to see what he has now because what do you have to lose in terms of the season? That was the point that I was making. However, Cam Scatterbull, 19 carries, 98 yards, 3 tutties. Wendell Robinson, 6 receptions, 84 yards, and 1 tutty. Now listen, I've probably been the biggest critic, I guess, giving Fox a lot of shit on this team because that's what we do. We just jab each other about our teams, and I've probably been the biggest critic on his Giants, making fun of him. But however, I will say this. The Giants caught Philly at the perfect time. We know divisional games be like that. You always gonna get up for your division rival, and they're the Super Bowl champs. You're supposed to get up to come and make. We're gonna throw the kitchen sink at them, and that's what they did, and they got him. They lowered him to sleep, gave him the haymaker, and put him right out. That has everything to do with the fact that it's not that the Eagles are this bad of a team. They're definitely in a bad moment, but we're not going to disrespect the fact that the Giants gave maximum effort with that pass rush. And we were talking about this off camera, and I was saying, like, in terms of the point that Fox also made about the Phillies Super Bowl hangover, we were talking about C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who now plays for my Ravens, and he was saying, like, how in the Super Bowl, how he locked up Travis Kelce, how he was a good addition for us. And that brought me back full circle to the point about Philly in general, in total, with their defense. That defense goes as their pass rush goes, because as we seen last night, the question that I asked Fox was, is it that C.J. Gardner-Johnson was that good covering Travis Kelce, or was it the fact that that front four were constantly in Mahomes' lap in the Super Bowl? Now, as we seen on Thursday night, the Philly defense had Jackson Dart in the pocket, dead to rights, and they missed him. He made one play last 6 seconds, and he ran 5 yards or 6 yards for a first down, and you had him dead to right. So again, that speaks volumes as to where the Philly defense is currently. And I will say this: they're definitely going to see better days ahead. But I just wanted to give kudos to Jackson Dart and those guys, because like I said, I've been bashing them pretty hard. But I will give Fox and his Giants credit for that tidbit. Tony, jump on in here, man. What you got to say?
I did watch brief of the game, some of the game, but I was really more on the betting books. Because Philly was playing and baseball as well. And Fox had mentioned, you said there was another Philly team playing?
The Philadelphia Flyers.
Ice hockey started.
Yeah. So if I'd have called Fox and found out the Flyers was playing as well, I'd have put a really, really good bet, because what happened?
All three teams.
All the Philly teams lost.
Man. And I called Tatum. I called my friend Tatum. I said, hey, two of the Philly teams are playing tonight. Do you believe they both will lose to give the New York Giants a better story, and for Philadelphia in the baseball to get a better story? They was like, I don't know. I think the city wouldn't have two teams losing the same day. And what happened to the city? All three teams lost: baseball, hockey, and football.
Yeah.
Man, those are the piece of information people can bet on and make some money, because, man, I'd have put some double zeros on that bet.
All in all, the brief summary of that is it was a bad day for Philly. It was just a really, really bad day for Philly.
Yeah.
But before we get to the Ravens recap, I definitely wanted to tap on this, because this is another one that I didn't mention. I wrote the stat line down, but I actually want to bring it up because another interesting point Fox was just making in general about, the hangover. Much can be said about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and their Super Bowl hangover, even though they were on the losing end of that Super Bowl. We've been witnessing the decline of that team. And I was saying that going into when my Ravens played my man, but that was a whole nother story altogether. But teams are capitalizing like one Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, 18 of 25, 221, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He had 10 carries, 54 yards, and 2 tutties. Travis Etienne, 12 carries, 49 yards. Travis Hunter, 3 receptions, 64 yards. And Parker Washington, 2 receptions, 16 yards, and 1 touchdown. That right there, again, total team wins, which I've been talking about in this entire segment, man. Like, these guys are figuring out, you know what? 1 or 2 guys can't beat an entire offense, or 1 or 2 guys can't beat an entire defense. Like, we got to put this thing together, and everybody got to pull their fair share. And I'm talking about your teams that are like middle of the pack teams, or even bottom of the barrel teams. No disrespect, but like Jacksonville, you know what I mean? Jacksonville was doing surprisingly decent this year, surprisingly. But again, the fact that they beat Patrick Mahomes in a game, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in a game that obviously the Chiefs were favored to win. And it's funny how when people pick their favorites to win, it's when you watch Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Monday Night Football, whatever day of the week you watch it, and the analysts pick their teams. You ever notice that teams like that get an automatic nod that they're going to win because they're just expected to win against a team that's just historically not that good? So when you think about Chiefs versus Jags, automatically, like the whole panel, I want to say, all but 2 people picked the Chiefs to win that game. And we see how that turned out. But my point is, Patrick Mahomes looked like Patrick Mahomes, 29 of 41, 318 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception also. He had 6 carries for 60 yards, and he also ran in for a touchdown. Kareem Hunt, 7 carries, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco, 7 carries, 36 yards. Ty Thornton, 3 receptions, 90 yards. Travis Kelce, 7 receptions, 61 yards, and 1 touchdown. So again, like the Chiefs were banging the Chiefs, but again, it still was not enough to keep the Jaguars at bay. Yes, people, we're talking about the Jaguars. It don't even sound right. I can see if you were saying it wasn't enough to keep Buffalo at bay. That would make sense. You were probably we're talking about Jacksonville. Again, surprisingly doing well. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We didn't even mention Jacksonville. You know what I mean? Because it was now, granted, it was only week 2 when we had that topic, but still. But I mean, when you watch Jacksonville's style of play, like they're actually out there throwing haymakers with whomever their opponents are. You know what I mean? So that's not characteristic of what you would expect at this juncture, because we're not saying that we don't know what their future is, but I'm just saying at this juncture, they're playing excellent football right now. So I definitely wanted to throw in that tidbit in regards to that, because I didn't want to not mention them, because they also beat a team that nobody expected them to beat.
Yeah, because for me, I gotta agree with you on the fact that there's something going on up there in Kansas City, as far as on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, where it's definitely declining. Because as much as we give the Jaguars praise, because 4-1 is definitely a good record. I mean, he the worst quarterback with a good record. I mean, you go look at his numbers; they horrible. He got 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and they could have literally lost this game right.
Absolutely.
But Kansas City, they keep finding a way to shoot themselves in the foot. It's like Kansas City are beating themselves more than I believe teams are figuring them out. Like, I mean, not to throw relationship talking here, but I definitely feel like Travis Kelce, once you got a relationship, you start declining. You start not taking the game as serious. It also give me vibes that out of what, you probably been in the league like 8 years, you already have Hall of Fame resume. You've been about 4 Super Bowls, you won 3 of them, so you pretty much like, I'm already got my gold jacket. The rest of the things I'm doing right now is playing for numbers and maybe some maybe for playoff appearances. Maybe I get to a Super Bowl, but I got my wife now, I got my money now, I'm good to go. Because I've seen a few times where Andy Reid and him been going at it this year, yelling at each other. Get your ass out there on them routes, run it correctly, block correctly, and things like that. Then when it comes to the defense, you can't just keep relying on Chris Jones the whole entire time. You can run the ball on the Chiefs. You can pass the ball on the Chiefs. I've watched several games of the Chiefs this year where the quarterback has about 7 or 8 seconds of time in the pocket to throw the ball. I mean, prime example. You were supposed to lose the game once Trevor Lawrence fell last week. When Trevor Lawrence fell and ran that touchdown in, it was no way that, I mean, this guy fell twice. He fell 2 times, got up and ran it in. That go to show you how your pass rush need to step it up. I mean, normally when a quarterback falls the first time, you feel me, you're on him. The second time, you really should be on him. Yet, I don't know what happened. So I would just say I give credit because you got to go against who you play against. So I would say some teams do have it figured out, but I think overall the Chiefs are defeating themselves more than anything. I mean, for God's sakes, he's trying to grab chemistry with the dude named Thornton. That's what I'm going to say. And nobody really knows who that is. Hollywood Brown was supposed to beat it. I left Baltimore because they wasn't passing me the ball. I'm this wide receiver. I haven't seen you do it on the Cardinals, and I'm not watching you do it right now. So same thing with Juju Smith-Schuster. So I feel like this. These guys are defeating themselves. They're supposed to be the modern-day Patriots with the roster that they have, but they just beating themselves. So it might be Super Bowl hangover for them, too, because they went last year, and maybe they're tired of going at the moment. But, I would just say the Chiefs are beating themselves a lot.
I will agree with you with the Super Bowl hangover, because that's what I mentioned before I got to that part. But I'm going to give guys credit with it. It's like, no, they figured them out. I'm not saying they don't have moments where they have lapses in the game where they do things to shoot themselves in the foot. They definitely do. But here's my thing. The last point about Trevor Lawrence falling twice,
yes,
I agree the defense should have been there. But if you go back and watch that one particular play in the vacuum, Washington's vacuum, that O-line, there was a complete pocket around him. I truly believe that minus Chris Jones, they were giving maximum effort trying to get through the line of scrimmage to get to him. But I got to give Jags bigger credit. I think they legitimately had them blocked. Like, I don't care what we have to do, but you're not going to get to Trevor Lawrence. I have to give him that credit. On that particular play, I'm talking not the game in its entirety, but that was the game. That was a play to seal the game. Now, we know in sports news they've been talking about, they keep arrowing to Chris Jones because he just gave up on the play. And you can clearly see that, like, he's trying to, break through the line, and he's, like, literally upheld. Like, he's blocked. So in his mind, like, the play's over. Somebody else will get him.
And he's the only guy.
That's not what you should expect from an all-pro, though. And that's my point about I'm not going to give the Chiefs that right there. You could make that argument and say, yeah, he gave up.
Yes.
That's Chris Jones. I don't think everybody else gave up. I think they was legitimately trying. Just the Jags just wanted it more. So again, I think it's a little bit of both, but I would err more on the side of Kansas City. We see you for who you are, and we're going to capitalize on this right now. And you can't do nothing about it. That's honestly what I believe. By default, of course, I had to watch the horrible, game we played against them or whatever the case is. But again, they made tons of mistakes in that game that we just didn't capitalize.
See what I'm saying?
Even with what we had. And that's the point that I'm making. So, like, your Giants a few weeks ago, the Giants gave them the best left hook that they had to muster, and they punched them out. And legitimately could have won that game.
We could have won that game as well, too.
But you know what I'm saying? But my point is, the Giants were who the Giants are, and the Chiefs were who they were. So again, I don't want to not bring up that point, but those are just what you see custom from the teams that are at the top of the pecking order, at the top of the hierarchy. They're all starting to like kind of fizzle out or decline in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But more noticeably of the group is definitely Kansas City. Like it's bad. Moving on. Ravens report. Woosah. Look, getting into this part, y'all know this is the part where I get to talk my shit about my team, and there really ain't much shit to talk because we look like shit. I don't know how much honest I need to be about that. We took a 44-10 routing from the Houston Texans. Cooper Rush, 14-20, 179, 0 touchdowns, yet he threw 3 interceptions. For all that, he might as well just went on and put on a Texans uniform. It was unreal. Derrick Henry, 15 carries, 33 yards, 1 touchdown. Zay Flowers, 5 receptions, 72 yards. D-Hop, 2 receptions, 46 yards, and Mark Andrews, 2 receptions, 22 yards. Pretty pedestrian for the entire offense. Like, there was just nothing that we could do. We made their defense look like they were a top-ranked defense in the league, and we know, like, Will Anderson Jr., he is legit decent. I'm not even going to hold you, but they're not, like, that's not a defense that you're totally terrified of. That's the point that I'm making. And my before stated point when we were just talking about the Chiefs is, like, are people catching up? Are they that good, or are we just that bad? Truly, we are that bad. But the Texans, we made them look much better than what they actually are. They have 2 solid corners. Their defense in total is not the total package. That's not a defense that you would say that's what's going to get them to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't say that. I would not say that. I think that they also have taken a step back. Again, like I said about the Giants earlier, they caught us definitely at a vulnerable moment. And that's just football in general. You can't help who was on your schedule. You got to line up and play just like the next man. But I mean, I really don't have much to say about it. Like the last couple of weeks, it's just been that, and I'm quite sick of it. But I will say in all honesty, outside of the Ray Lewis disrespect, Buddy scoring the tight end, doing trying to do the squirrel dance, and that did piss me off. And I was not mad at Jair for trying to do something about it. I wouldn't have did that. But I mean, that's just how this generation of athletes are. Let's do some disrespectful shit to celebrate. It's weird to me because, again, like, if you go beat the Bills and then do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just we suck right now. It is what it is. I'm gonna say it. Yeah, the Ravens, we in the bottom, we're in the basement right now. But it's just like that. If you beat the Bills and you celebrating or doing whatever, Josh Allen or Dalvin Cook, or excuse me, not Dalvin Cook, the brother, I can't remember the other Cook.
James Cook.
James Cook. Yes, James Cook. If you mocking them or some shit like that, go to Buffalo and beat them, and then let's see if they had the same. I think if they line up right now, Buffalo beat the brakes off of them. But again, I digress. We stink. We lost. That's all I got on the Ravens report. Anything y'all guys want to add to that?
This kind of what I was adding to when I say that to the Chiefs game. I feel like you be shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, this just me. Yeah, they got their ass whooped. They got their ass handed to them because overall the Baltimore Ravens is playing trash. But I just know during the time that me and you was growing up, it was always the next man up, and it wasn't no excuses. I've seen Philly, the Philadelphia Eagles, since we brought them up. I've seen the Philadelphia Eagles go to the playoffs a couple times with backup quarterbacks. During the Andy Reid times. I've seen the 49ers go to the Super Bowl with backup quarterbacks and all that. Same thing with the Steelers and all these teams that I would like to continue to name, but I've seen it happen. So I'm on the next man up. Rush, I mean, I know the Ravens don't have the same type of wide receivers as Dallas, but Rush, Cooper Rush, last year when he played against the Texans, the boy put up 400 and some passing yards, going lights out, playing his ass off. So I was definitely expecting him to play a little bit better. I mean, at least show that I can, because one thing I know about the NFL, they will change the offense when they see, okay, he can pass now, or he can do this now, or he can do that. There's some people who have limitations, and I feel like he didn't show the Ravens enough in practice where we like, okay, we can air it out and do this, and we can go here and go there. I was watching this other Ravens report where they made a good analysis about where I didn't know the Ravens did this. Yeah, we do see DeAndre Hopkins making these big catches and being available, but do you know what? Sometimes he's not even on the field on key downs. It could be early in the drive, it's third down. Why he not out there when he clearly is career-wise, he's the best wide receiver, but he's the second best wide receiver on the team. Why he not out there? They up there putting these, I can't look at the names right now, but they was putting all these backup guys in there. And I mean, I understand that you're trying to play the little trickery game, throw the defense off, but we try to win these games. Unless you're just saying that the season's completely over when Lamar Jackson's not on the field. But there's a few times D-Hop wasn't on the field on key downs where he should have been on the field. He only had 2 catches. The proof is in the pudding. And then I'm sorry, I'm always going to be on a second string wide receiver because I watch the Bengals. I watched the Eagles do. I mean, I watched the Bengals do this since I mentioned them. I remember one year when they had A.J. Brown, and this is before the Jamar Chase. A.J. Brown went down, and another wide receiver went down, and something Simpson, number 89, killed the Ravens going off. So that's what I mean when I say next man up. And I'm expecting Rashad Bateman to step up and do anything. 0 catches, wasn't even there. Mark Andrews, I think it's about time for him to go and get up out of there too and just leave it to Likely and go find somebody else. But I believe overall how I examine the game, this season is pretty much over. The real question should we be asking is if the Ravens lose these next couple games, which will make them 1-5 and 1-6, does Lamar Jackson come back and play? Or do we just keep him on the sideline?
Absolutely coming back. I would say this. We got the Rams, which I'm already counting as a loss. I'm just going to be honest about that. And then we're going into the bye. So we should be, come back and get some guys healthy coming back so we'll be able to at least sustain. But Lamar definitely comes back.
No, I'm saying if he 1-7, I mean, I know we want to see him, but if the Ravens 1-7, he should.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
So what sense would that make to have him bench and collect rust for an entire season? Like, that wouldn't make any type of sense.
I mean, I would just say the risk, just not the risk, no injury, because that'd definitely look bad if Lamar Jackson was to get injured on a 1-7 Ravens. That would even make it even worse because that's late in the season, and then we'd never know how that injury will affect him for next season. But I mean, of course, you feel me? You want to get him in there. You want to see your guy play at all times. The whole point of playing the game is once you hurt, you come back healthy, get back on the field, no matter what the record is. But I just think the Ravens need to stop wasting this guy's prime, stop wasting his good years.
So with that, you brought up something, and I just always say, like, when you mentioned, like, the second and third receivers and all that kind of stuff, like, you're not wrong. I'm not saying that. But, again, when you mentioned personnel specifically about the D-Hop point, you know who controls that? The offensive coordinator. That goes back to the point that I was making a few weeks ago. Sometimes these guys are they're at the mercy of what the offensive coordinator calls. That is to include the packages and who's in on those packages. So, again, we can say as much as we want. Like, yeah, we want D-Hop on the field. He should be on the field. And again, I don't disagree with you. But, again, our offense, be clear, is vanilla right now. We're not any of the extravagant things that we typically do with Lamar ordinarily, we're definitely not doing with Cooper Rush. Having Cooper Rush in there changes the entire dynamic of the offense from jump because he doesn't have the ability to run. So what you would normally call for this is like, okay, this is the contingency plan for this. Having Lamar, this play could potentially look this way because he has the ability to run. But again, to my point about Todd Monken that I also made, and again, I don't want to overstate this because I'm just, quite frankly, sick of talking about him. He still coaches like he's in the NCAA. Like he does not go with the proper personnel or play call. And sometimes I think as the average fan, the person that just watches football and has never played or is not an insider, they be like, oh, well, we put up 40 points before and we did this. They're not looking at all the intricate I's that aren't being dotted or T's that aren't being crossed. You get caught up in that, but it's like the game within the game, they have no idea what they're actually looking at. So in certain situations, it's on third down when it's like third and short. Money downs when we're trying to advance on the field. It was like, yo, let's go for this with this personnel. This makes sense. But like, we have this guy in it. So people can be like, oh yeah, Rashad Bateman, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he on the field, but it should be D-Hop.
Yes.
Or if you guys say, or whatever the case may be, or in this particular play, like you mentioned, like Andrews, I'm not going to put what has happened thus far, I'm not putting it on Andrews. I'm not. It's on the OC. I really mean that. I do mean that. I don't think it's on him whatsoever because there are plays where he's getting open where he is the smart option to throw the ball for a short game. We're not trying to go out and score every single play. We ain't even trying to get chunk plays every single play because we're not at full strength to do that. So let's sustain drives. How about doing that? Let's sustain drives where we get chain over. 5 yards here, 5 yards there, 8 yards here. Like dunk and dink like we used to do. Do what you have to do to sustain drives and not give the opposing offense the ball back. We are not doing that. Todd Monken is squandering drives.
So you don't think Mark Andrews is slowing down?
I don't.
Wasn't he a reason for one of the turnovers? He dropped the pass that got picked off?
Yeah,
Listen, that's a mistake. That's not the sum total of his performance.
No, I'm just saying, like, what I'm saying is, Jack, it's happening an abundance. Like, it's games, it's happening in a row like this.
I can only count 2. The playoff game against Buffalo in Buffalo last year and the one you just named. What has he done this season to make you think, like, oh, he's slowing down, he's done?
Well, I believe he's, hold on, I got to go back and look because I want to make sure I'm right. But I've seen him drop some passes this year. That's what I'll say. I've seen him drop some passes this year. The only game that I think that we really seen him go off was the game against the Browns.
He didn't go off. He had 1 catch in that game.
So what's the game where he? So I gotta look at the stats and see what his numbers look like then, because I could have sworn he had like one game where they was like Mark Andrews is back. I believe it was a game where he scored a touchdown. But if he didn't have any game that he going off this year, then yeah.
It's my biggest thing that I keep on saying is like Todd Monken is not the guy that we think he is.
Mm-hmm.
And like anybody who knows me when it comes down to talking about the Ravens, I'm hard on our OCs because again, we don't go do what other teams do. We go get the guy that's like he was good here or he was good some years ago, and then we think let's try that magic here. We don't go get the guy that goes to slay the dragon. Mark Andrews has had a pretty pedestrian season due to the fact that either A, he's not been thrown the ball, or just what Monken is calling, and it's just crazy. Like he's
okay. So the reason why I said that is because when I'm looking at his numbers, that was the game he went off. The game against Detroit, he had 6 catches for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. But all season now, if it is the OC, which it definitely is, I give credit where it's due because I point fingers at both. I'm going to call it out on you for calling the wrong plays, but I'm also going to call on you, even if it is the wrong plays, that's your job to still get open. But 1 catch, 2 catches. And then probably his best catch game was 7 catches for 30 yards. So I'm like, I'll give you that, but having 1 catch out of the entire game, I mean, like, how much is that really scheme? I think that's somewhat of losing. I mean, we gonna say the Chiefs losing a step. You feel me? We gotta put that out there too as well. But I mean, I take Mark Andrews. He's better than the Giants tight ends. I take him. I'm being real.
all right. So we're gonna change gears a little bit, guys. So when we're here, we talk about all sports, and I'm a huge combat sport fan. And this past weekend, aside from watching my Miami Hurricanes, I also got a chance to watch UFC. And my guy, Alex Poetan Pereira, regained the light heavyweight championship. Listen to me. There have been a lot of dogs in UFC, and I don't know if everybody in the audience follows it. I'm pretty sure because it's risen in popularity over this last decade. I mean, it's just unreal. But Poetan is one of those guys that we always, he's a crowd favorite, regardless of who he's fighting. Most times when you think of UFC present day, most people's minds go to Israel Adesanya. Izzy is probably one of their best fighters. He's even beaten him and taken his title. Now, he's gotten beaten by Izzy once, but, it's just impressive how he was able to come back and regain. Like, he's beaten the likes of quite a few guys, you know what I mean? Khalil Roundtree, Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, as I just mentioned, you know what I mean? Recently, he just beat Magomed
Yeah,
it's a Russian name, but my thing is he's a top fighter in the light heavyweight division who originally beat Poetan to get the title. And however many months later, he gets it right back. As a UFC fan, let me just say this. The thing that stands out the most and impresses me most about him is his dominance and his in-octagon IQ. That is up there high amongst the likes of guys that are dominant, like former champions like Khabib, who's also a Russian fighter, Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre, and of course John Jones, who I think is probably the best UFC fighter of all times, in my opinion, and most people's opinion. It is arguable when you think about champions who had long reigns like George St. Pierre as well. But John Jones, I think, all in all, I think he's probably like the best. But when you name those names, I think we can safely put Alex Pereira's name amongst those guys. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Bud Crawford, how he cemented his legacy in terms of what he's done in the ring, and when he was able to do the feat that he was able to complete a few weeks ago. And I think Alex Pereira was in that same boat because as every champion his last 6 opponents were all champions, and he's beat them all. So it's like that's not a thing that happens often in UFC. Like when guys dominate, they dominate. And most times when titles change hands in UFC, it's due to like a guy took a really bad in-ring injury or something like that. And then it's like tournament style for who becomes the next champion. You don't actually beat the champion. Sometimes, I'm not saying it's that way all the time. But as far as Poatan, Alex Pereira has beaten the last 6 guys, 5 guys. His last 6 opponents were all ranked guys. But the last 5 of them were actually champions where the belt changed hands. Like, Poatan is that guy. He is definitely that guy. And again, I don't know how well noted you guys are on him in the audience, but let me tell you something. Treat yourself, tune into it. But yes, his record, he's 13-3. He has 11 TKOs. He himself has been knocked out once, and that was at the hands of Israel Adesanya, as I mentioned earlier. He fought Israel Adesanya on November 12th, 2022, and he beat Israel Adesanya. Then they fought again on April 8th, 23, and Izzy returned the favor. You know what I mean? But he went on to fight Khalil Roundtree on October 5th, 2024. Sean Strickland, July 2nd, 2022. And his most recent victory, October 4th, 2025, beating Muhammad Akananalov. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't want to butcher his last name. But, again, he was the champion, and you have to get that man the crown. He's definitely doing his thing. So I definitely want to shout that out because I'm a huge fan of combat sport, and that just stuck out to me because he is one of my favorites to watch outside of Israel Adesanya and John Jones. Anything to add to that, guys?
Well, what I would say is this guy, he had to beat these guys. I got to give Alex Pereira credit. This is one of the guys that they said my man John Jones was ducking, which I definitely don't believe. I do agree with you as far as Bones Jones. I'm on record all the time saying that's my best fighter of all time, no matter what the sport is. I watch UFC over boxing any day. I just like the warrior gladiator thing. But this guy who he just beat, he had to beat him too, because the last time he fought him, he lost against him. So he on his redemption tour. Everybody who he lost to, he's coming back and beating him, and he's handling his business. And then, as you said, he's anybody who's a champion or a ranked guy, he's knocking them down one by one. He's kind of the hottest guy right now. I mean, the guy who I like right now is Israel, and we already see he like on a 3-game losing streak. I mean, he done lost everything. I think it's probably about time for him to retire. I don't know why a lot of fighters get like that. They get so caught up in the fame that they don't focus on their craft enough, because there's no way that this guy should be losing these many fights.
Nah, Izzy is, if anybody's focused on their craft, it's him. I just think it's like, for one, they play as a combat sport, bro. Like, your body's gonna break down over time. But he has fought some notable guys. Like, I wouldn't say that about Izzy.
No, what I'm saying is not focused. He just lost. He fought 5 times. I think he only won once. That's what I'm talking about when I say lose focus. Everybody talks about that in the boxing world too. When you start losing that many in a row, it's about time for you to think about hanging up and retiring. And what I mean is, I follow this guy a lot. I'm watching this, and I'm not trying to say, when I say he's not focused on it, I'm not saying that he doesn't take his crap serious. I'm talking about he's more into the celebrity world now. He's more on these podcasts. He's more of advertising himself now, more promoting himself now instead of in the gym. If you watch him right now on Instagram, you can see that he's venturing in other things. And what I'm saying is, I'm used to the guy that's knocking dudes out, doing the moves and doing the little anime moves in the ring. And lately, they've been doing the anime moves on him in the ring, in the octagon. He been getting his ass whipped. But I want to stick on task back to the guy we was talking about, Alex Pereira. Like I said, he on his redemption tour. He's beating everybody. He's beating people that beat him. He took the title back, as we already know about. And I just want to see him fight some other guys that's in here. But overall, he be handling business. He be beating ass. I got to give him credit. That's a big guy, too. He be beating ass. So I got to give credit where it's due for us when it comes down to him. Yeah.
So specifically with Izzy, because I don't want that to be understated, because, again, and I don't want to speak enough for him, because he is definitely one of my favorite fighters to watch in terms of that. He is fighting guys that are working their way up into the ranks, and they are good. I would never say, like, most people don't know how hard this guy works. I mean, if anybody's familiar with David Goggins, motivational speaker, and a guy is a Army Ranger, I believe, or Navy SEAL, something like that. But he's a motivational speaker, and everybody knows how intense his training regimen is. That is literally who he trains with. Like, David Goggins is not nothing to sneeze at. I don't ever think that Izzy is off task. I think that dudes are just progressively getting better in the sport. Like, if you watch UFC, from month to month, the competition gets stiffer and it changes. So I would never say that he's like off task. Like he fought I think Driscus Duplantis. That was August 17, 2024. He lost by unanimous decision. Again, Duplantis is somebody that also had a chance to get into for a title shot. It's a lot of Russian fighters, and I don't want to mess up their names, but again, I'm looking here. February 1st, 2025, he lost by submission to Duplantis. That's what I just mentioned. And then Imavov, I think I'm saying that right or whatever, he also took a loss to him. These are guys that are like currently that are in the sport right now, and they're making a name for themselves. So I don't think it's that he okay, if anything, I would say he's declining. We can give it that.
That's what I was saying.
But no, you were saying that he's not on his game. He's focusing on other things. I don't think fighting is his profession. I don't think he's ever off game when it comes down to that. These guys are just getting better.
Yeah.
So
that's the difference.
You're looking at their records. His records are better than these guys he's beating.
Because he's been fighting longer. They're supposed to be better.
No. It's a dude right now he beat. Their record is 27-9, and he's 24-5. So the point that I'm saying is, I'm watching this guy. Like when I say I'm a huge fan of this guy, I'm a huge fan of this guy, and I'm upset every time he lost. And to me, I think you're not focused if you lose. It could be basketball, it could be football, it could be baseball. I think you're not focused if you have 10 games and you lose 8 of them and you only win 2. I don't think that you're coming out there prepared and focused. We say it all the time about losing football teams, losing basketball teams, and for this guy, two of the times
people can't improve. Is what you're saying?
I didn't say he couldn't improve.
No, not him. The opponents. The opponents can't improve.
I ain't saying that neither. I'm just saying he's not focused on his craft. But these guys,
what gives you the inkling that he's not focused?
Because these guys he can beat. The only person that
clearly can't if they beat him.
That's my point. Because he's not focusing. Because it showed.
I don't think it has that. I think they're getting better. And so okay, here's why I'm so adamant on that point. Because you take away the credit from the guy who had to train just as hard, just like Izzy, to actually beat the guy.
I'm not taking no credit from them because
when you say that, you kind of.
No, I'm not taking credit. Taking credit from them is saying something about them. I didn't say anything about them. I know how hard they're working.
No, listen. You're saying when you give that crush to Izzy by saying that he's unfocused. No,
that's not. That's what exactly is. And if anybody hear me, that's exactly what I'm saying. He's not focused.
So that's saying if he's focused, then I can't beat him. So you're discrediting the guy.
I'm not discrediting nobody. What I'm saying, no, you taking it that way instead of listening to what I'm saying.
I heard exactly what you said.
If you hear what I'm saying, what I'm saying is, Izzy is a better fighter than what he just did in these last 5 matches. You know he is better than that. That's a fact. That's your guy, right? And that's my guy.
No, but those guys are getting better. I'm not going to take away from the fact that them guys had to train too. I'm not taking it away.
The only way I'm taking something from them is me saying something about them. All I'm saying is that he's not focused.
I respectfully disagree with that.
You can, but you kind of disagree with me when you just say so you're saying right now. So you're saying those last what's names? He was all locked in all the matches.
I believe he was. I just think the competition is getting better. Point blank.
And the competition gets better.
If you
he wasn't focused, man.
If you are a true fan of UFC, if you watch consistently, then you know the changing of the guard happens frequently at every weight class.
And if you watch,
every weight class.
And if you watch it too, you hear these guys. Just check this out. I forgot who the white guy is who just fought Bone Jones a couple years ago, and he was one of the guys that said it. He said,
Stipe.
And what
Jones is a better fighter.
Hold on, but
Jones is a better fighter.
Hold on. You said that, but you ain't gonna let me get out the part that he did say. And guess what he said? I wasn't focused going into that fight.
That's Stipe. He's low competition. He would have beat him anyway.
So that goes to the point of what I just said from the beginning. Some of these guys do not be going focused.
No. We didn't say some of these guys. We're talking specifically about Israel Adesanya.
I'm answering you. You just don't like the answer.
No.
I said Israel was not focused, and I just gave you another guy who said they wasn't focused, and that answer wasn't liked. That's exactly what I'm telling you.
It's not that the answer wasn't liked. Specifically, if you are a true fan and know who Israel Adesanya is and know his works, that's not even on the freaking radar. These guys are getting better. So me personally, as a combat sport fan who watches it regularly, I would never discredit these guys. I believe that he was on his A game. They just had the better day.
So it's
he's on the backside of his career.
So to add to your point, so it's no such thing as not being focused going into a match.
No, I never once said that. The point is, no. You said, you did say that he wasn't focused. You did say that, and I said I disagree. He's not that kind of fighter. He's not that kind of fighter.
Watch it. Listen.
When you mentioned Stipe about when he fought Paul Jones, that makes sense.
But hold on. You also said you're a fan of this guy, and this guy, Israel, is on record saying that sometimes when he win in matches, even the ones that he won, he wasn't focused and all the way locked in. He said this out of his mouth. It's not like I'm making this up. He said it.
Listen, he's always said he's missed opportunities. Guys, I watch Fight Pass. I'm a UFC fan. I actually watch the sport regularly. But I digress. I respectfully disagree, and that's just on that. So, as far as UFC is concerned, I definitely want to give Alex Pereira his credit because that dude is definitely a champion's champion. I haven't seen him duck any smoke. As far as that whole thing about him, John Jones ducking him, that's a whole bunch of garbage because they're not even in the same weight class for one. So whoever is saying that, please knock that off. When it comes down to UFC fighters, there are some guys that have had extremely dominant careers, one being John Jones, as just previously stated. But Alex Pereira, I think his name definitely belongs amongst those greats. So I just wanted to give him his kudos on that. On to local sports. This is a story that I really, really want to dive into. Fox, myself, and Tony talked about it a little bit before the show, and it's disheartening because it's a little personal to me because I'm currently a high school football coach, and I work in a community where we don't have all the amenities of some schools in some areas. We don't. So when you have coaches that come along, they're actually trying to make a difference in terms of not just on the football field or whatever respective sport that they coach, but in the classroom and in the lives of these kids, and the community is rejecting them because of their own selfish reasons. I have a huge problem with that. Williams Valley football, Stephen Sedesi, I hope I'm saying that right. Stephen Sedesi, he resigned on Monday as a District 11 2A champion Williams Valley football team, the Williams Valley Vikings. His record the last couple of years have been 28-6, and that is to include a state championship in District 11. He retired with the team being 6-1 until turmoil started brewing amongst his team. He and his father both resigned on Monday. His father served as the defensive coordinator. Now, this was a news story which is definitely noteworthy to me because this was on their local news, and the reporters were saying that he benched some kids. Now, the irony, just before the show, I wanted to see what the outcome was because he just resigned on Monday. They had a game on Friday, which was yesterday. They played against the Schuylkill Haven. I don't know what team, but they beat them 43-29. When you talk about making a difference in terms of a football team, and forgive me for anybody that may see this news story because I'm not familiar with these teams. While I don't live in Pennsylvania, this is right up the alley when we talk about not just mainstream sports and the problems that show themselves in sports. I wanted to shine a light on this because these young people do need guidance. These young athletes, they are the future, not just on and off the field, the dime in the court, whatever sport they perform in. They are the future, it's just in life. And if somebody cannot be tough on them in terms of telling them to do the right thing, showing them the right way to do it, we have a bigger problem than we thought. For the very thing specifically that they're doing in sports, in this case football, he benched, I believe it was 7 starters for something that happened in school. My question is this. They didn't give specifics as to who was up in arms. What was said in the report was the community was rejecting. So we don't know specifically whether it was, let's say, the staff and the principal or whatever. They're also part of the community. We don't know the in-depth part of it. But I would say in school, it's safe to say that a principal should stand 10 toes down along with a coach. If a coach sees that you are failing, you're not excelling in class, or your conduct is not right in class, whatever your issue is, you're not doing something in the classroom that is keeping you off the field. I have a big thing when I'm saying if you're not winning in the classroom, you sure as hell ain't winning on the field. That's a big thing for me. And it's personal because the terminology is student athlete. Student comes first. So why is your conduct not as it should be? Why are your grades not where they should be, to the point where me as a coach, I'm making a decision why you may be academically eligible to perform, but I'm not going to allow you on the field because it's just the morally right thing to do. Why is that? And why do people like Stephen Sedesi have to face such situations like this? Guys, I definitely want y'all to chime in on this because, again, we talk about these things regularly, and this is a huge sports story because, again, good leadership is hard to find. And most times, the team goes as the leader goes. And as they say, attitude reflects leadership. So if you have a team that in 2 years, your record is 28-6, you were 6-1 till this guy retires. Now you're 6-2 because they just lost again last night. I mean, any light bulbs coming on for anybody besides me? Anything y'all want to add to that?
No. Well, I would definitely want to know more of why did those guys get suspended? What was really the nature of what really happened? Um, because I want to make sure it's really like something done that's supposed to be done, not something done out of power. Because some people do swing their power around. But if it is on some academics level type thing, or these guys cutting up or being disrespectful, and he being a great leader, a great father figure, disciplinarian, I like the move. I feel like a lot of times that's what it is missing. We so stuck into the glitz and glamour of being a celebrity, or the time that we live in right now with social media, where it's easy for you to promote yourself and be a star by a snap of your fingers. That's what these parents are doing. One thing, and this is on to what we're talking about. One thing that I didn't like that everybody, you know who Amir St. Brown is, right? I'm saying his first name right. Amir St. Brown.
Okay.
His father basically said, "Yo, you should be choosing your mate basically off of the way you can make money off your kids." I may not be quoting him correctly, but it was something to the thing of like, "Yo, you're building athletes. When you're having kids, you're building athletes. You're building a star. You can get money and get rich basically off your child." And people are really living in that, like, "Whoa, my son is a good football player. He's a good quarterback. Shit, as long as he do enough passing, we ain't worried about everything else." So to the point where some parents do come to these coaches, and I'm not saying this right, it's like, look, you get paid to coach X's and O's and make sure the team win championship and develop my son on the field. You're not here to be doing this, that, and the third and all that. But where we grow up at, you couldn't be on the team if the grades wasn't right. The coaches had something to say something about it. The principal, the teacher, your parents. But now that we live in this superstar era, that's what the parents are getting upset about. Like, you're messing up my bag. I can easily, especially with the NIL, I can easily, my son, all he got to do is be a good player and go to the right coach. And now we set for life. Now we paid. So all the parents are really, that I believe that's going through frustration is more some, they not thinking like, oh my God, this dude might take my son's place. They like, you're messing up my bag. You feel me? My son is a senior. Next year, he could be a freshman at Maryland, be a freshman for Oregon, and we can be getting paid right now, and you coming in the way of that. So I can see why they doing it. But again, are you promoting to have a talented son that's dumb? Are you having promoted to have a son that has all the world talent in the world, but he's not educated at all? He don't know anything about what his contract really says. He doesn't really know how to read the correct way and all that. And I'm not trying to compare Pennsylvania to Baltimore, but I know damn sure in Baltimore, we shouldn't be doing that because our reading level is very low. Our education is very low. So, I mean, we need more guys like you, more guys like this guy in Pennsylvania who's going to help lead these kids in the right direction, because it's not all about football. I used to hate when people say this to me all the time. What's your second plan? What happens if you break an arm, break a leg? And then like, don't nobody want to hear that. I'm trying to make it. I'm focused. I'm trying to get to the next level. But that's, in all reality, that's how I go. And I'll say this too. Every player that played football, that tried to make it to the NFL, NBA, whatever case, they didn't not make the team because they was hurt. Some of them just wasn't good enough. Or some of them were, yeah, you're not as good as Tracy McGrady. You're not good as Kobe. So, you're going to have to go to the G League. You're going to have to go to the D League or play semi-pro and things like that. So to me, I feel like this. If it was a legit reason why he was doing it and he disciplining these grown men the right way, then yeah, I'm all behind it. We need more movies.
This one grown man is high school.
I mean, that's what I mean. I was just saying grown men because I feel like that's
damn near grown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I'm saying like this. That's the last time where you really got your hands on these kids, because once these kids graduate high school, you feel me? Now you is a man, because now you living in society, whether you get a job or don't. So pursue sports or don't. Whether you go to college, it's not the same. I hope you touch on this too, because you went to college. The teachers in high school, they probably gonna be on your case. Them professors in college, you better get it. They not gonna be on no, you need tutoring classes, or you fail. They on some really, this is my job. You get an A, you get an A. You get a B, you get a B. You fail, you fail. I know what I'm teaching you. I don't have to be all lean on. That's what your parents is supposed to do. So I'm gonna say like this. He is the last little bit of hope for the future and for the generation. And I hope you brought up they would stop supporting this business, which is we in this so selfish era nowadays that just because he disciplined some kids, now you want to disrespect his pockets, the way he provide for his family. So we just doing a little bit too much evils when it comes to certain things in life. But overall, if his intentions was right, I'm all for it. I'm all behind it, because we don't want no dumb kids out here. I hear it a lot all the time how celebrities and stars been getting taken advantage of in their contracts. I mean, hell, we talking about this, right? I just saw this too. when it comes to what's his name? Jason Williams was talking about it. When it comes to NBA, NFL contracts, agents are getting 3%. NFL, NBA, and baseball, they getting 20% when it comes to college. Imagine you don't know how to read your what's the name, and this agent just making money off you. As long as you get into a school, he's getting paid. So I would just say, man, stay on these kids about everything, man.
Mm-hmm. I was going to touch in that's a difficult thing. Some like you said, some parents really do invest a lot in their kids, and when you take the kid out, it feel like you're giving they might feel like you're giving another kid an opportunity to take their kid's spot. And all I invest in to my child, going to practices, taking them to practices, the uniform, all the equipments. So some parents really do get lost in what it really is. They supposed to be supporting. They need to support discipline, academic growth. Really get together in the community and talk together. Like, all right, explain to the ones that's not understanding why the kids have to sit out, why this is necessary for them. Because if you don't check bad behavior or if you don't do disciplinary actions early, what happens when they get to college? They might lose their scholarship for something like that. So they have to understand the consequences to some of their actions. And maybe this is one of those lessons, and the families don't feel like it's right. But check out more of the story. Jack has the link on his website, on his social media, and yeah, we're just gonna dive more into the story.
First of all, both of you guys said some impactful things, and let me touch on this. Like, Fox, you started touching on like the small basis of it. I'm looking at it in totality. This is far beyond just Baltimore, Pennsylvania, because the story is out of Pennsylvania. And my thing is this: you hear about it a lot in terms of people with them trying to make a difference. All right, in this particular case, because this is a sports show, so for all intents and purposes, we're talking specifically about sports. I'm looking at it this way. Tony, you talked about the parents making an investment in these kids. Are you, as a parent, are you truly investing in them if you're going to okay bad behavior? Because the contingency plan, God forbid, if that student athlete gets injured and can never play another snap of whatever their sport is, another down, another nothing. You know what I mean? Like, what if they can't? What kind of, like, do you care what kind of person they're going to be, like, character-wise? Like, those are true investments as a parent. So when you say that, that strikes a nerve, too, because, again, I've personally coached kids that were assholes. And argue with your mother. Like, if y'all know Coach Jack, I say these things all the time. Like, your kid's an asshole because you're an asshole. So while you want to come to me arguing about why I didn't give this kid X amount of snaps or whatever the case may be, it's like, are you kidding me right now? Like, when interims come out and progress report, like, I'm that coach. I want to see those.
Yeah.
I want to see those. It matters to me. It matters to me. Yeah. I got a kid right now on my team who had to miss an entire half of football because he can't do right in class. Simple as that. You know this kid is good when the opposing team is coming through the line at the end of the game, shake hands like, yo, what you got in trouble in school or something? Asking me why I didn't play him in the first half.
Right. And to touch on that, what you're saying, Jack, there are college players and there are NFL players who leave practice, make bad decisions, and cost people their lives. They destroy property, and they do things without consequences. The coach is doing a good thing because he could be saving somebody's life in the future.
Indeed. I agree. And that's one of the reasons, another reason why I wanted to kind of dig into the story, because what I noticed in locally, because it becomes a big thing once it gets beyond that point, to your point that you just made, when the kids go beyond that high school, when they walk the stage or whatever they do to get out of that school, when they hit the real world, life chews them up and spits them out.
Yeah.
And nobody in their life was ever hard on them because, especially kids in this day and age, everything is given to them. Everything. And so a simple consequence that you got to face, because I don't care if you are the starting quarterback. I'm just using that example. I don't know specifically who was suspended or what position, but I don't care if you are the starting quarterback. You don't have the permission to go and be in class and do X, Y, and Z when everybody else is trying to learn and you're being a distraction. You don't have that right. So since you want to disturb a class, I'm going to disturb what you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not playing this game this Friday. That's how I operate. And I don't think there's anything wrong with what Coach Sadesi did.
No.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But then the bigger part is this. This is where I'm really about to get mad, and this is the part that made it personal to me. For you parents, as a coach, in most cases, because every coach is not a good coach, even because Fox, you alluded to this earlier too. Every coach is not a good coach, and you do have some coach that are, pardon my French, dickheads and will wield their power like some type of sledgehammer with their players. You do have coaches like that, and to them, we ain't talking about them. They can all kick rocks barefoot. I could give a care less about them. But to the great coaches that are putting in the time to understand and keep their hand on the pulse, that cares about the kid in totality, far beyond the basketball court, football field, baseball diamond, whatever you do, to those coaches, I commend you. And whatever systems that you have in place to assure that these student athletes, student comes first, to keep them in line, yo, I salute every last one of y'all, because for these punk-ass parents, and I say this often too, punk-ass parents raise punk-ass kids. I said what I said. Because, again, you have kids that feel like, well, my mom or dad is going to back me 100% even with my bad behavior. So at the youth level, I would see this a lot. They're like, oh, you're not playing my kid, blah, 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 or whatever the case is. Fox, you also said, sometimes it's just that the kid just ain't good enough. And that's also a reality. But you get into that a little more at the high school level, right? But my point in mentioning that is this situation goes far beyond how good or bad the kid is. None of that is even relevant. This has everything to do with the character of young men who he's charged with shaping their life, not just socially, but just like, think about this. These young men that got to maintain a job.
Yeah.
They're going to eventually become somebody's father one day, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, character flaws, when you let them slide with things like that and you don't give them a consequence for the thing that they like. Because remember, this is a privilege. That's what I was always told.
What?
It's a privilege to play the sport.
Character flaw, like you said. I've seen young work with older, and there is an age difference, and there's disrespect because somebody's young or somebody's older and they can't work together, right? These younger generations are so disrespectful because, like what you're saying, Jack, and if they're not getting checked right, they just going to get to a point where we're just creating generations of chaos.
Yep. Fox, you want to jump in there? I think you got.
The only thing I wanted to know is, like, what did the kids do? And I'm not basing it off of like, I need to know what the kids did on a defensive type thing. I'm more on some side of this. Parents, please put it out there what they did, because it's going to look nonsense that these guys really did an inappropriate act and he's punished them the right way, where it's like y'all just being outraged. Maybe the kid came to school late or this, that. I want to really know what they did, because that makes a huge point. Because what if they do got good grades, but they probably hazing somebody, or they probably sexual assaulting women or something like that. It could be anything going on. So, and the fact that he is probably stopping something like that, and then you up here like stopping him from stopping your kids from going to jail, things like that is kind of crazy. So I just would like to know more of what did he punish them for, because at the end of the day, it's going to make the parents look even dumb.
I can go along with that point, but I'm more so on the side of, does it really matter? Now, to your point, a minor infraction like being late to school.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think that's like suspension worthy. So I get your point with
Yes.
I definitely do. But my thing is this: when I say doesn't matter, meaning if your conduct was disruptive in class, do I even care what you did? Because you're not supposed to be disruptive in class. Or if you cut class, what are you supposed to be in class? Does it even matter? Why? What your reasoning was? Now, I'm going to say this. Within reason, meaning I've had times where a teacher, and I hate getting emails from teachers. God, I hate it. But I get an email from a teacher like, so-and-so wasn't in my second period class, blah, 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 woo, woo, woo. And of course, I'm going to have to get the sob story that the teacher should have been aware of. Hey, coach, I had got sick. We ate, what's today for breakfast, blah, blah, blah. And I threw up. I even went to the nurse. Look, I got this, the nurse signed this, blah, 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 blah. Why didn't your teacher know before they had to notify me? Most of these kids don't stand on business for the things that are important to cover their ass. The rule of thumb, CYA, cover your ass. I tell them that all the time. So again, you got to stand on business to do the right thing. I know that I belong in math in second period. Why am I not in Mr. Miller's second period math class? Because I'm not feeling well. Let me go to Mr. Miller and say, Mr. Miller, I'm not feeling well. I'm gonna vomit or whatever. I need to go to the restroom. Blah 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 blah. Now my thing is this: if you're taking that point, and Mr. because some teachers are assholes too. If Mr. Middle's like, no, get in my class and have a seat right now, blah blah blah. If you went and you really had to go and vomit, you took care of business, and you come and tell me that, at least I can say, well, did little Stevie come to you and say that he had his own? Yes, he did, and he walked out of my class. Okay, I can deal with that more so than you just not going at all because you was probably bullshitting. At least I know you had a point of reference that you went to class first.
Yeah, see,
that's the difference.
And that right there, in that sense that you're saying, is definitely a good point. So the reason why I said I definitely would want to know is because it's so bad that they stopped supporting his business. That's why I'm saying I want to know that, because I said that in my answer. I think we live in a trifling world where we do just ignorant things for no reason, because without a shadow of a doubt, yeah, discipline the kids, have them off the team if they're doing something wrong. But his discipline, now you're not supporting this business. So you basically saying he is a good man overall, but because you didn't have your way, now we're not going to support his business and this. So I just want to know, like, what type of act did these kids do that you're trying to shelter and basically say it wasn't that bad? And if you don't let my kids in the game, we're not going to support your business now. So I don't know. It's a lot of petty stuff going on there.
I'm going to conclude this portion with this part because, again, in totality, I think that Steven Sadesi did a very noble thing. And the fact that he was on just because he just didn't want the backlash from the community is absolutely crazy.
Yes.
I was a coach at Stembridge for 16 years. This is now my second year at Kenwood High School. My whole entire premise is to definitely just affect change in a positive manner in young people's lives. In terms of me, on a personal level, why it's so important. Growing up, I played ball at many levels, and plenty of people who probably could have written me off, and I probably gave them every reason to. Didn't. They didn't. I'm forever grateful for that. So it's always good to reach back and help the next generation. But in this generation, you get so much pushback from people who want to okay bad behavior and other stupid things, right? And the reason why it bothers me is because I've also seen bad coaching. And it's like they get none of the backlash. They get, people sing their praises. People, they paint this picture that they're this. I'm gonna say this, and whomever may see this, if you I'm pretty sure some of y'all probably gonna know who I'm talking about, but I don't care, because it's not gonna change my standpoint. There was a guy who was a part of the same organization that I was a part of. He is one of the worst coaches I've ever met. I mean, like, quite literally, one of the worst coaches that I've ever met. And I've had players that were on his team long before I got a part of that staff to go on and win a championship that told me out of players' mouths, like, he don't really teach us nothing. He just yells and screams and kicks up dust. This is coming from a player's mouth. Why am I bringing this up? Because for the people that live in the community, the parents that you cool with, of course y'all gonna take your side. He hang out with y'all on Friday night. Y'all in the bars together on Friday night or Saturday night after the game. Y'all turn it up together. Y'all doing the same dumb shit. How much do you really care? Or as Tony said earlier, how much are you really investing into your kid? You just sign them up because it's the local team and you don't feel like traveling far to take him to play for a quality coach. But that's your homeboy, and he be like, oh, your son 14, I coach 14U. Bring him here. That don't mean he a good coach. He been yelling at him for 3 hours, and you been sitting over here in your chair with your arms folded, just cool. Like, what is my son really learning? That thought never crossed your mind? I know this guy personally. Why am I bringing this up? Because, again, I was the coach, and I've always been the coach that, no, we ain't letting y'all skate by with this. If you mess it up, you clean it up. Shouts out to my mama, because my mama used to always say this, Fran, when you hear this, you know I ain't lying. She said, well, you mess up at is where I clean up at. And as a kid, you'd be petrified when your parents say stuff like that. I found myself saying it to my players, because when we in practice, that's sacred time to me. You're not going to impede on my time. So we're going to rep this over and over and over until you get it right. You want the lollygag the first 5 minutes? All right, so we're going to run because I'm going to get my time back. And then we still got to get this play right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's good coaching, that's structure, that's discipline. And I'm still teaching them because I'm not just berating them and tearing them down and telling them how much they soft and they punks and bitches. I've heard coaches say these things.
Really?
So again, now here's my thing. Don't get it twisted, because I ain't going to sit here and act like I'm not a hard coach. I'm a very hard coach. And in my players, when y'all watch this, y'all know I'm a very, very hard judge when it comes down to what happens on the field.
You verbally disrespectful?
Say it again.
Verbally disrespectful, like calling them bitches.
I'm verbally harsh. No. I'm verbally harsh, but never disrespectful.
That's what I'm talking about.
Never disrespectful.
The bitching and motherfucker shit.
I might have heard once in the past, like somebody coach said, "Don't be a punk, hit him."
So here's my thing.
Now, well,
That's light.
that's old school though. That's old school. I don't, that's old school right there when I was playing. So I'm just saying, if somebody here, they'd be like,
I'll say this, because to your point, I'm glad you brought that up too. I definitely want to touch on that. We live in such a hypersensitive society. When you are coaching young men specifically, I have to say this for all the soft and gentle parents out there, God bless you, right? But when your child is with me, I am going to be hard on them, and I sleep good at night. I'm talking about, I wake neighbors up. I'm fine. The relationship that I have with your child is not the relationship that you have with your child, because you have to share a dinner table with them.
mm-hmm.
I have my own kids that I have to take care of. Now, I'm all about being real and true with them about their performance or lack thereof. That is my job as a coach. I have to give the hard critique that they may not want to hear, that they got hands like a snake. That's something that I say. He shouts out to Coach Rashad. He's like, boy, you got hands like a snake, meaning he can't catch. I got to tell him that truth. But he want to play wide receiver so bad. But the last 6 balls we threw to you, you missed all 6 of them. Is it in our best interest to really keep throwing you the ball? So now you done got in the car with mama, and she's telling you, oh, baby, don't worry about it. You the next Odell Beckham. Ma'am, you're lying to him. It's not me. It's not my job to lie to him. But in terms of that point that you just made about harsh coaching, I'm going to tell him, yo, you can't catch. You're not good at this position. We need to find something else for you to do. I'm going to tell you that truth. Now, when it comes down to in-game, when the emotions are flying, I have told players, like the team in total, y'all really playing like bitches. I have said that publicly. I have no shame in that. We live in such a hyper society where it's like, oh my God, why would you ever say that to young men? Now, my Pop Warner kids, I've never said those words to them. My high school kids, do y'all know that these are the same kids that say far worse?
Yeah.
Just not in your presence? You don't get to hear that? Coach Jack, I hear that. When they frustrated, and they telling, when the wide receiver that's winning that practice against that DB that might be second on the depth chart, when he telling him verbatim, yo, you some shit. And I got to tell him, hey, that's your teammate. We don't talk to each other like that. Yeah, who hears that? Coach Jack. So while you sitting there talking about you want to censor your baby's ears for what I'm saying, but you ain't monitoring what come out of his mouth, though. That's problematic to me. So again, coaching is one of those things that gets a huge magnifying glass put over it. And there's a lot of detail that goes into it, what makes you a good coach versus what makes you a bad coach. But when I notice that mostly, 100% of the majority of the time, the good coaches are the ones that's always under the microscope. The bad ones don't get hardly any critique. I seen that same coach I was talking about, I seen the parents get this joker a Gatorade bath after a game that we was going to win anyway. Like weird stuff like that. He didn't call one play in the game. Not one. I saw that with my own eyes. This is a real thing that happened. So again, to my point, when we talk about the coaches and the things that they have to put up with from the community, i.e. the parents and the supporters and all that kind of stuff, it's a good and bad to everything. It's a yin and a yang to everything. For some reason, and in my experience, you only ever see the good ones get their feet held to the fire. So, Steven Sadesi, I salute you wherever you are, my friend. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope that you snap back and find another team that appreciates you, another community that appreciates you, because these young kids need guidance. They need guidance. So, for the fun stuff, I wanted to bring this up real quick before we get into the local hype and the yes, Lord moment. Last week, I had to talk with my good friend sitting across the room from us, and we was just talking about our college teams. And y'all see what I got on today, man. Y'all already know what it is. We moved up in the rankings, y'all. We moved up in the rankings. We went from 3 to 2. Only one Ohio State stands in that spot, and we will get to them when we cross that bridge, because I'm sure we're going to see them in the college football playoffs. They know what it is. But my Miami Hurricanes put foot to ass, belt to ass, whatever you want to say, on the Florida State Seminoles. So, Carlton, I'm sorry, man. Sorry we had to do that to y'all. So public. I'm sorry we had to do that to y'all. So, getting to it. My favorite part of the show, local hype. So, this is the part of the show where we advertise local businesses, anybody that needs shout outs and stuff like that, notoriety to those people that are working tirelessly in our communities, doing great work. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been running these and I want to bring more attention to them. Brick by Brick Behavioral Services. They offer academic, athletic, social, life skill, community service, and housing. You can reach Mr. Gus Chase. Shouts out to Mr. Chase. 410-616-6333. Again, that's 410-616-6333. You can also find them at brickbybrickservices.org. Next, we have my man, Coach Dre. Hey, shouts out to Coach Dre too. So before I put out his business, we took a loss on this past week to Woodlawn, and he coaches for the varsity. He came on the sideline as the game was closing up, and as we always do, we dapped each other up, gave him a hug, and he whispered in my ear. He was like, "Look, just keep working, man. Just keep working. Things are gonna get better." Like, he's always like a light of encouragement, and I've been knowing him for a decade plus. And when I say Dre is a real one, Dre is really a real one. So anytime and I'm putting his advertisement out there, I always want people to know how serious I am about that, because there have been plenty of times in my in my playing career, as well as coaching now, he's always come to drop some level of gem on me. And Dre's definitely that, the epitome of what a true friend is. So I just wanted to shout him out in that regard. But Mr. Andre Williams, he's a professional licensed therapist. You can reach him at 443-957-1102. Again, that's 443-957-1102. You can also find him at www.transit.health. Again, that's www.transit.health. Now, for those of y'all that got that sweet tooth, reach Val's Sweet Confectionery. You can find her on IG at Val's_sweet_confectionery. And you can also call her at 443-506-0317. Again, that's 443-506-0317. Please reach out, support these people. They're doing great work in the community, and I'm giving them their flowers while they can hear them and smell them, because they deserve it. That has been your local hype. Guys, I cannot stress enough why this is my favorite part of the show, because there's so many people that are doing great things, and we want to recognize them for the work that they do. So that being said, in the comment section, anybody that needs highlights, if it's a good coach in the community like we just talked about, a player that's a great student athlete like we just talked about, if there's some dope parents, teen moms, organizations, businesses, of course, anybody that is doing great work, give them their flowers. Put them in our comment section, DM myself or any of my castmates. Please let us know. We want to give these people their flowers because they definitely do deserve them.
For me, for my yes Lord moment, I gotta give a shout out to Dunbar and Poly. Both teams was undefeated, who recently just played. But of course, anybody in Baltimore, they already know how that score ended. The score was 50-6. Dunbar having his business. Shout out to the Poets doing what they do. Tavon Austin went to their school, one of the Baltimore legends and one of the Baltimore greats. Of course, without a shadow of a doubt, I gotta give a shout out to those Migos, the network, making things happen. And we progressing every time we do a show. Anytime we do anything, we're progressing together as a team. And then anybody who want to go out and have fun, shout out to my cousin Wayne. We got a club called Internationals located on the east side of part of Baltimore. West side part of Baltimore. Actually, it's on West Baltimore Street, 2301, called Club Internationals. You can go there anytime to get breakfast, lunch, dinner, and of course they got the ladies' night, and you get in there for free on Wednesday. So definitely check that out. And I can't wait to talk about more college, more high school sports. And I got to give a shout out to the Maryland Terps, which is definitely local. They playing right now against Washington. So we will have stats and all that once we come back next week.
Yep. And I want to give a shout out to content creator Moo and Anti-One. I had the shirt on during the first episode. I have another shirt on for this week. But give these both guys, they have one wonderful hat line, the weather department.
Fox is wearing right now.
Mm-hmm. And then the other one has a wonderful Haitian clothing line, Petit Bonnier. So check both of them out. And thanks to everybody.
Oh, big shouts out to Moo. I ran into him yesterday, actually, and he's one of the guys and friend of the show and supporter of the show as well. Definitely support weather department. This guy's always in the community. Literally in the last month, I bumped into him just on accident out doing other things. He stayed in the community. Like, he really is one of them guys that be in the trenches, and he ain't just talking about it. He really living it. So support Moo and weather department for sure. On to the yes Lord moment. So Let me shout out Coach Rod from Overly High School, Coach Phil from Overly High School. We played them a couple of weeks ago. The varsity won and the JV lost. For my team, that was our opponent. But I want to shout them out very specifically. Whenever I bump into Coach Phil is always like super positive dude, but he definitely cares about the youngsters in the community, and he forges big relationships with them outside of the school, outside of the football field, because again, he truly cares. The yes Lord moment is to all coaches. Another reason why I was very, very intentional about picking this particular sports story about Coach Steven Sadesi. Coaching is not an easy job. It's not an easy job. Mentorship is not an easy job. Again, as I stated earlier, I coached at Stembridge for 16 years. This is my second year at the high school ranks. I've been a mentor. I don't know who looks at me as a mentor. Like I said, I'm just a guy who's lived life, and I always try to offer my life experience back to the youngsters who truly need it, because they're the next generation. I wanted to shout out those two specifically first, because I see the level of connection that they have with their players. Much like myself, that is something to behold. Shouts out to Coach T, Tarek Gaines at TGX Performance Systems, who also works for Team GTD, Javante Tank Davis. He's a boxing trainer, and he has a lot of young athletes that he also trains. I'm shouting these guys out very intentionally because, again, the relationships that they forge with their players and fighters and things of that nature. Coaching and mentorship is such a hard job, much like parenting. The only difference is it's not your child. So you're not always at liberty to do some things. Some people will do it from the kindness of their heart, because they truly care that much, far beyond actually being the birth reason that this kid is alive. You care about their overall well-being. These guys are the epitome of that. I mentioned Coach Dre. Coach Dre is another one. I mentioned Coach Swain often. Coach Jew, Coach Rashad, guys that I've coached with in the past. This yes Lord moment is for all coaches that really go above and beyond for these kids. When they entrust you implicitly, and I said this on Friday, I left my son's school. I saw a teacher was walking down the hallway in one direction, and like 6 kids sprinted in that direction to hug and show this teacher some love at 7-something in the morning. What type of impact did this person have that these kids were this excited to see this person? That is impact, y'all. That's what impact looks like. Students don't want to be challenged. Some of them don't even want to be in school. But it's something about you that makes them hold a position, that you garner that respect and that attention from them. And again, this was for all coaches, but this is for anybody that's in a leadership position, from adult to student or child or whatever whatever title you want to use. I have to give that to them. It is so hard because you have to build up the trust for that person. Trust is built up in drops, but it's poured out in gallons. So the life experience that you give them when you're teaching them, when you talk to them, even when you're correcting them and chastising them, you still have to have a level of tact, a level of love, and a level of understanding on their part. I didn't say that you have to be soft and coddle them. I never said those words. I would never advise anyone to do that. But if they trust you, then they can take your praise and your correction all the same. It may not feel the same to them, but they trust you that much that they will definitely take your correction in stride and be better from it. So to all my coaches and mentors and teachers that's doing all these great work with all these young people, Coach Jack says to you, yes, Lord. It's been another great episode of What's Going On in Sports, featuring yours truly. I want to thank Fox. I want to thank Big Tony for indulging me with this. Next week, we're going to have a fire episode. Oh, and the other thing I didn't want to leave out, Fox already shouted out Dos Migos, the network. Listen to me. We are in our infancy stages. I cannot overstate that point. Stay tuned because we work tirelessly around the clock. Tony does amazing work with the graphics and all of that kind of stuff, and his things are just going to keep improving. So for those of y'all that's continuing to stick with us, again, shouts out to Dos Migos Network. Shouts out to Tony for all the work that he does with the computer and the camera. The shit is nothing short of amazing. Big Jack appreciates that because I look good on camera. Get my good side because I really don't have a bad one. Signing out, y'all.